There. We're in, Mike. We're in. It's the HFL, award ceremony.
I tell you, Cam, it's bittersweet. It was a short race, but a lot of great things that happened in HFL last Sunday. I have to say that you and I are at a lack of energy because us big men are built. We're not built for speed. We're built for pleasure. And I tell you, man, like I'm hurting. I don't know about you, buddy, but I'm still hurting 3 days later.
I'll tell you this. I still got bruises all over the place. My feet are getting better, but the last 3 days, Tuesday, Monday, and Sunday, first off, I'm just getting my voice back. I didn't even have a voice, Mike, yelling at the referees and everyone. But, Mike, bruises all on my arms, all over here. My legs and my feet have probably been the worst. I'm limping around looking like I got arthritis, Mike.
Yeah, I tell you, I feel the same way. I had to do the old booty scoot down the stairs on Sunday night in between trying to get snacks for the Super Bowl because I couldn't feel my feet. My feet felt like they had knives stabbing through it. But you got to put in the work if you want to get it done. So I say jump.
I will say we laid it all on the line. If there is anything that comes out of it, I know that I put it all on the line and I put my best foot forward.
I tell you, man. I mean, what we got to start doing is maybe you and I will do a look back for the people at home and start doing some stats because I mean, I'll tell you this: Cam Willy had at least 10 to 20 receptions.
Yeah, I had, and if you remember this, Mike, I wasn't. I mean, I know my role, right? And I think you know yours as good as I do, and I think we got more catches and more plays that we should have gotten. I mean, look at it this way, Mike. First play, right? I bounce off and I get almost a near first down pass, and then the ball comes right back to me. I'm getting pass rushed by one of the better pass rushers in the league this year so far was Dom Diamond and Drew Jazanic were cooking me up. I had to call you. I had to call out after 2 plays, Mike. You were in. You were. I don't think you were expecting. I mean, I
wasn't expecting. Believe me, my playing time this tournament, I was definitely happy with. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you and I had to step up because our lead receiver, Case and Bynum, was in contract negotiations. I mean, I tried to sell him Nike, but he wanted Reebok, Cam. So I don't know what was going on with Bynum, but he was not having it. I'll tell you this much.
I'll tell you this. I agree with you on that. He was mad he wasn't getting the ball the whole day. Actually, I look back at some of the film, and I think we should at some point go through, get some stats down on the board, and do a whole overview of the entire games. But Case and Bynum had 1 catch throughout the whole day, and it was in the first game within the first few minutes, Mike. After that, he didn't get the ball, but I will say, looking back through the film, I want to say it's part of it is his fault. I mean, I did think we had a quarterback who wasn't at the best of his abilities, but Jason was doing a lot of standing around almost like Travis Kelce on Sunday as well, kind of not really getting open. But then I'll tell you this, Mike, in one of the later games, it might have been the last game, he got the ball right back to him there and off the hands. So, I mean, did make a good case.
We call that FPU, right, Cam? Frying Pan University.
That's what it is. He's a fellow graduate.
You don't want to be a graduate of FPU.
You don't.
We'll talk about the ins and outs of the tournaments. Actually, let's go right into the tournament and let's save the awards for last because I know that's what everybody's looking for. Cam, I'm an arrogant man. I'm confident in my abilities and everything that I do in life, but I am a man, and I have to admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Dixon, yes, and I was wrong about Caucasian Invasion. How they wound up in the finals, don't ask me, but they did. They put together 2 stellar teams. First, give the roses to Farney. Man, he knew something that we didn't know because let me tell you something. When you put together a game plan where you don't need to score a touchdown with how talented of a player he is, and you get all the way to the finals and only have 1 loss on the day, I mean, give the roses, man. The kid deserves everything that he deserves. I mean, touch a little bit on Farney and Caucasian Invasion if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you this, Mike. The amount of slander that we put towards that guy, and really
Slander is spoken word. I remember American government as well. We put some hexes on Caucasian Invasion, and they were not buying it.
They were not buying it, and I know we put a lot on Dixon, yes, too, but I think we were really harping on Caucasian Invasion to just be the most sorry team we possibly ever seen. And Keegan, he's stuck with it. He's stuck with his team. I spoke to his mom and sister at the event. They said he was up for the whole week making cards. I don't know if you guys saw, but their players, some of them had play cards on their wrist. He was up doing that. I mean, I got to give it to him, Mike. He knows ball, and he might know more than us at this point.
I think he does know more than us. Let me tell you something. When Scotty Oftedal, who was a primetime performer in the whole tournament, gets laid out by Drew Drzanik,
Yeah.
Marcus do something that we didn't. I guess kickers can't hit. So I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I guess he stumped us all, and he made some picks that I think went over everybody's radar because they didn't make sense. But I guess Keegan had a plan all along, and it ended up. I didn't completely work in their favor as they didn't get a win. But I mean, if that doesn't make a statement, I don't know what will for next year. That Keegan's not to be messed with, no matter how he drafts. Because if he drafted this poorly this year, imagine if he gets a superstar talent next year, Mike.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what guys like Keegan and Scotty and MJ do next year. Obviously, being in college, I want them to enjoy their college experience, but obviously, they're welcome to come back as DM/players. You included, Cam, as your schedule allows. But college is important, and HFL is a rite of passage. So if Keegan doesn't come back, or if Ofty and MJ and you don't come back, like who are the torches getting passed to? And I mean, I'll tell you this: it's dangerous that our returning champion is going to be dicks in the ass because don't get
Yeah.
me. We'll talk about Lucas and how great he is later, and I know Lucas wants to hear it because you chatted it up on Tuesday night practice. But let me tell you something. Let's just start with our MVP, man. Where did Rocco Galasso come from?
I'll tell you this. This is our first award, and let me tell you, there's never been a more primed pick for the MVP. Nobody knows who this guy was, Mike, and us included. I mean, we talked about him a little bit when he got drafted, but this is your most valuable player. I'll read what it says. He led Dixon yes to their first championship victory. Drafted in
Man, great pull. I couldn't find a picture of this kid on a milk box if I had a chance. I don't know where you found this from, but I mean, great pull.
I had to do some digging. I mean, the kid was drafted in the 10th round, and he excelled at slinging the rock, taking down the YNs, taking just about anyone down in his path. I mean, the kid is unbelievable, and especially for riding pine at Brother Rice. We didn't buy it. We didn't buy into his story. We didn't buy into the 10th round talks, but the guy excelled at his craft, and I think that should not go unnoticed. And I don't.
Let me tell you something. Obviously, things didn't work out for the Mahomes the way that we wanted it to, but I challenged you guys as a program. First of all, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you to the YNs for coming down south. Yeah, you guys came, you guys brought it. You guys were a talented team. You guys did that, but I'm going to say thank you to the program, the down south boys, especially Rocco Galasso, and a special shout out to Nikki Coons. Because you did, and yes, I'm going to say it to you, Navy. You saved the black program, Nikki Coons, because Galasso, you threw a dime in the back corner, and Nikki Coons.
You did.
What do you call it? I know it's hard to cue this up, especially on the spot, but what Cam's going to do, I'm going to make him do it after this on Instagram. He's going to send that clip out, and Dom, I just want you to play that in your nightmares because welcome to Joliet, Illinois, buddy, because that's what happened. You had a sophomore in high school who's a basketball player and hasn't played football since the great flag football, the St. Ray's Rockets out of Joliet, baby. Nikki Coots saving the trophy, or not saving the trophy, but saving the black division by giving the Wyatts their first loss on the tournament. But again, Nikki, I gave you your roses. You're done for the day. I know 12th round pick. You've been barking at me all day yesterday. No, I'm not a 12th round pick. Okay, I got it, buddy. You're not a 12th round pick. You made a great catch. You had a good day. But Galasso, dude, you're a stud.
It's unbelievable, Mike. I think in his first year too here. I mean, if this guy's not a future captain / GM, I don't know what's going to go down. But he made a great case for it. And I think this guy will be if he's not a captain next year because he's still a young gun. It'll depend on some future Hall of Famers.
I tell you, I saw the kid that's in front of him at Brother Rice, and I'm not saying he's not talented, but the kid must be the next Michael Vick if Rocco Galasso is not the starting quarterback at Brother Rice for the next 3 years.
If this didn't just give him the reins and the keys to the Brother Rice starting position, I don't know what will you. I mean, he took down, like you said, the YNs up north. They came down. I'll tell you, Mike. There was a lot of chatter, especially from captains. I'll mention this, Scotty Oftedal mentioning that, and Cormac Saunders, that we have to make a super team to stop these guys if they make the championship. They were talking about building around the best guys possible for a 7-on-7 versus them. because the YNs, they came in besides O'Neal, most coming in over 6 foot
Yeah.
and mid 200 pounds, 220 to 235 pounds, Mike. Everyone was nervous, and I got to say, the young gun from Brother Rice, Rocco Galasso, shut that up.
And I'm telling you, man, the YN's quarterback, you guys don't know, is number 2 ranked quarterback in Wisconsin, Tanner Eifert's. Give him his roses. The kid could sling it. He was 6'4". He was throwing missiles. He elbowed Holman in the face, took him out of the tournament.
He
I mean,
did.
Eifert's had a phenomenal tournament when he was there, and Galasso was up to the challenge. I mean, he
Yeah.
met him punch for punch, step for step, throw for throw. I mean, the kid can sling it, man. I mean,
I think it's a little bit of dirty work there from. I think the Mahomie Killers really got stopped when Holman went down. That's probably one of their better players, if not the best player, other than MJ Schley.
Number 2 pick in the draft, if I recall. Number 2.
Yeah, he got taken out from the YNs, and I think that almost solidified Mahomie Killers' history there.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, man, Simlic, we'll give you your props in a little bit. You guys won a championship, but you guys ain't win that championship without Rocco Galasso.
So we got someone in the chat saying Cam was in denial. Little Murph, I can only assume that's. Do we think that's Murphy there?
Well, you know what? We'll talk about the reffing another time because I want this to be a positive podcast. I don't want anybody to worry. But Murph, you're lucky the reffing was a little sketchy. Otherwise, there would have been a little bit of yellow laundry on the field.
We got Johnny Curbis chiming in too, saying Cam, you suck. Johnny Curbis.
I guess JCA doesn't believe in remote learning, Cam. I mean, I thought we're in the middle of the day right now. No e-learning for the JCA sprats.
I guess so. I mean, how convenient there, but I mean, 2 players who were sitting the bench the whole game. Like, I mean, how we saw it on the live. I mean, how many times?
Curvis, first round pick, was telling me all about all these catches he made. The last thing I saw Curvis do was take a ball off his face.
Yeah.
So,
Curvis definitely better than Murphy though, so
yeah,
you can't beat it though. But I mean, just to harp on Galasso one last time. I mean, the kid was incredible. Led the way the whole time. I mean, I remember his first pass that he was making, Mike. I mean, it was almost a touchdown from the jump. I mean, it was touchdown after touchdown, slinging it. I will have to look into how many touchdowns he threw, but
I'll tell you something, because this wouldn't be a Cam Mike podcast if we didn't have a little humor in this. I'm going to touch on the great fit that Galasso had. We had some guys that had some rocking stuff on. We had the gold, we had the ice, we had the jorts. We had the Mahomie Killers with some great uniforms.
Yeah.
Galasso going with the old man fit, just blue t-shirt,
Yep.
blue sweats. He looked like my dad out there, just slinging that rock in the backyard.
That's about as humble as you could get, pulling up in the gray sweatpants and just a classic blue t-shirt, and he just came in there probably with slippers on and just was ready to rock and roll.
I'm telling you. So, hey, with that being said, Cam, let's go on to the future. I think the next award that you have up is Rookie of the Year. Let's look at who's the future
Rookie of the Year.
Of the HFL.
The future of the HFL. Ryder Machado. How do you say his name?
Ryder Mahachek, the Red Rocket.
I spelled it wrong. I don't really care. I mean, not really.
No, I think you got it right. You're good.
Did I? How do you say his name?
Mahachek.
I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to call him Andy Dalton, to be honest. Mr. TikTok, the guy who stays and lives on social media, went under center and dominated in his first HFL season. Some are comparing him to fellow Red Rocket Andy Dalton. Mike, I'll tell you about this real quick. This guy, I mean, we had a lot of talks with the Mahomie Killers about how young their team is and how they have a couple quarterbacks they could have went to. MJ Schley decided to go with Ryder here, and the kid did not disappoint. I mean, how many deep balls did he have into the end zone, firing away, battling, touchdown after touchdown, similar to Galasso, but Galasso held over a little bit more seniority over Ryder here.
Let me tell you about this kid. He worried me a little bit. A lot of the young quarterbacks did, because they threw a couple interceptions. But Mahachek reminded me of a young Brett Favre. I'm not going to lie to you. He was slinging it. He was not scared. And I think he won this Rookie of the Year award because he is, if not the number one reason, number 1B why the Mahomie Killers beat the YNs. And again, I'm going to give
100%.
They were a strong team, and when it came playoff time, they were 1-1. They were coming off a victory. They were feeling good off of the Mahomie Killers. And this kid, he was not put off. He was not scared of the big kids. And I was reffing that game, and he was thrown into double coverage, no fear. And I mean, the ball he stuck on Jake Nielsen to save the black program and send those boys up north back packing up I-94 was. He stuck it in there, man. Stick route, and he threw a bullet in there.
100%. I mean, this guy. Let me tell you, he came in there facing against these just absolute dudes from the YNs and the guys up north. These dudes, Mike. These guys were tall, and just the placement of the ball placement from Ryder was just incredible. I mean, literally, it would almost look like Hurts. I mean, just right into the hands, Mike. You couldn't beat it. I mean,
I
for
tell you,
being such a young talent, I mean, it was unbelievable.
and let me tell you, one of the most underrated plays, again, along with the stats, Cam and I don't want to overpromise Cam because he's got to do the work, is we got to put some highlights on IG, man, because I'll tell
No,
you,
we're definitely working on.
one ball that Mahacek threw that I think gets lost in translation is he threw a ball over Jake Cummins, who was a phenomenal player from the YNs. Props to Jake Cummins, great player from the YNs. And MJ body adjusted in the right corner, adjusted his body, two hands, put it down, and then got a personal foul to boot because he threw the ball right at Jake Cummins, right in the back of Jake Cummins' head. But let me tell you something, MJ doesn't get a chance to taunt unless Mahacek puts that ball on the money.
I definitely agree. And actually, while we're talking about the YNs versus Mahomie Killers, we have Caden Bond chiming in from probably the high V. He goes, we beat the YNs without him. I think they're talking about Cooper Holman here. That speaks to the Mahomie Killers. And if we're gonna talk about it here, I think there's one reason why were able to beat the YNs, and it's Ryder. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put a stack with you. Without Ryder, I don't think Connor Schley, who was talking about possibly going under center, could get the job done. I think without if MJ was going to play quarterback, I don't think they miss out on a finalist for Offensive Player of the Year out there, maybe even MVP out there. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have went down, but Ryder, I mean, he solidified himself in that.
I tell you, the kid's the future of the league, man. I'm really excited. I'm glad he's in the hitters program, and we'll curb the social media usage a little bit because, buddy, you got to get to bed before 10 o'clock. You got to get to rest. But I mean, like, for this week, we'll let you play on social media a little bit more and let you get some huzzies out there to the. I think I say Elmhurst. That must be where you.
It is Elmhurst. I saw on the Instagram bio earlier today. Elmhurst quarterback. It is in his Instagram bio. In case you were wondering, Mike.
So looking at the next, it looks like we got more future. I think the next one that you have up is most improved player award. Who do you have
Yeah,
most improved player?
most improved player. I think within doubt. There's a lot of talented players, but this year it goes to Ryder Sisti.
Guy.
Goes to Ryder Sisti from being a possible LVP last year. One of the later picks. Ryder Sisti came in this year with vengeance and played very well for the Mahomie Killers.
It's good to know that the legacy continues in the Sisti family. Let me tell you, is that I ref the game, and I think where Ryder won this award for me was in the YN's game. Is that he made three defensive plays that you wouldn't expect a freshman in high school to make against grown men. I understand that Ryder has the height on his side, but he was probably outweighed by a few of these kids by at least 30, 40 pounds.
I think even more in some
Yeah,
cases.
the fact that he wasn't afraid to scrap, and I'm gonna give kudos to MJ Schley too, because let me tell you something is he had a young team, and defensively he was not afraid to put Ryder on the field.
Yeah,
He,
it
he
was
was
not.
part of MJ's defensive scheme, and Ryder delivered for him. And again, like the Ryder connection, both of them off of not both of them on the same team. As the future comes, and like I said earlier, as the Scotties and the MJs fall off, are players like Ryder and Ryder going to be the future of this program, man, as we go forward in upcoming HFL seasons. I mean, these two are bright futures for the HFL for sure.
100%. And I'm getting a little chatter from Corey Less in the comments here asking, where's Cormac? I know a lot of the captains.
Let me take that, Cat. I'm going to cut you off.
Please do.
Cormac, okay, you made yourself to be a viable quarterback.
Yeah.
You had one good series, pal. You had one good series against the Homies. After that, you kind of fell off the bat, bro.
And not to mention here, he had Scotty off the ball to throw to. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, how many times do you see Cormac go deep? Not many. It was a lot of checkdowns. It was a lot of maybe first down passes, just to the 50-yard line. I mean, didn't see much talent from him. I mean, it was serviceable, and he played his spot well, but it was definitely not most improved from last year. He won the award last year, but I mean, how many times are you going to win most improved player? I mean, I didn't see where.
Let me tell you something, Cormac. You earned some respect. I'm not going to say you didn't earn respect. You earned some respect. Quarterback a team next year and see if you can take them to the promised land.
Yeah.
That's my challenge for you. Take a team to the promised land. You proved that you could lead a team at quarterback. That's what you proved. You got some props, but dude, like,
You do, yeah.
yeah,
But you also have Scotty Oftedal out there, who was basically the only guy he was looking to. I mean, if we go back to the film, which we'll show later, I mean, every time they snapped the ball, where were McCormick's eyes set? They were on one man and one man only. A guy like Ryder Sisti, defensive player, a defensive weapon, and he had catches. And I want to say maybe did he have a touchdown? I don't know if he did, but he
I
had
don't
some.
remember. We have to look back at the film to see if he had a touchdown.
We'll have to go back, but I mean, you could definitely speak to Ryder Sisti's defense. I mean, just one going against the YNs was like getting 3 breakups, and not to mention playing really good coverage for being Ryder Sisti, and only a freshman.
I was gonna say not only a freshman, Cam. Let's be honest. Us Sistis, as I let off with this, I'm gonna say it again. We ain't built for speed.
Yeah,
So I mean, the fact that he can go against not being a burger and kind of make some defensive plays is you got to give the kid some credit. So, but again, with the Ryder Sisti and the Ryan Mahachek decision, I think this led to one of the tougher awards that you and I had to go through with the captains as GM of the year because I mean, I think you got Simlick, I think you got Farney, I think you got what do you call it? You got the YNs because honestly, Santarelli
yeah,
did a great job of what do you call it, putting a team together. I mean, you got a lot of good Scotty. I mean, Scotty put a team
yeah.
together that was pretty good. So I mean, who do you have for GM of the year?
Before we go there, real quick, I'm just going to bring this up. Caden Bond is saying that he got robbed, and I'm actually going to agree on this one. I kind of Bond. I'm not going to lie. I thought I fought tooth and nail for you. The captains didn't want it. I have fought a little bit with the commissioners board. I couldn't get it done, but I believe you played really well. This is also
It just correct it. That is the point.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
And I'm just gonna say that because again, I know this is for humor. I know this is for fun. I'm gonna be honest with you though. I give Cam Williams a lot of credit here. I know I've given him a lot of credit during this whole process. This was not the Cam Williams, Mike Sisti selecting these awards, gentlemen.
Yeah,
This was a committee type of style, as Cam and I talked about who we thought, and then we brought it to the captains. We had conversation about this. This isn't just like Cam picked any
yeah,
awards or anything or picked
yeah.
favorites.
I'm glad you made that note.
If you have problems, talk to your captains
Talk
because
to the captains. I'm glad I was going to bring it up at the end. I'm glad we brought it up now. This is not just the Cam and Mike show. We did not just sit here texting who our favorites were. We went to the captains for really over the last day, and we listened to some outside chatter as well as we get through a couple more awards. But we're talking GM of the year here now, Mike. Like you said, a lot of good GMs who drafted.
I think this was one of the closer awards, man. This was I think you saw by who our championship opponents were. I think that shows kind of the equal, but got to give it to the well dressed man. I mean, again,
100%.
props to that professional photographer, whoever took that picture. That's a
I
handsome
mean, just,
buck right
just
there.
an incredible picture. But I mean, Keegan Farnes, I mean, what was said to be the worst draft in the history of the HFL, it took him to the championship game, Mike. And all you got to say really is what a draft. I mean, he drafted a team that was looked at as the worst draft in the league. I mean, I know we're still harping on it. They didn't win, but
I'm looking at it right now, Cam, and I'm going to steal the thunder from you. Is Drew Jazanic wound up being a stud? Let me tell you
yeah,
something. Someone that I want to give a ton of credit to. Max Steele.
yeah,
What a tournament. The kid catching touchdowns, getting interceptions, being in the right place at the right time. Phenomenal pick. Aiden Barrera, couple sneaky catches in there
yeah,
for a
he did,
PO.
yeah,
A kid who we're really high on, Skeletor, Henry
yeah.
Humes, Hank, the Hankster. Phenomenal
And
tournament.
he got a lot of flack, a lot of
And
flack.
we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna show this because everybody's like the Sisti gave up a safety in the Mahomes game. You're right, but when you watch that tape back, I pancaked Humes, and he was so freaking tall that he still got the safety because the kid's so athletic. Humes,
Yeah,
Serrano, phenomenal pick. What do you call it? And let me tell you something. You guys are too young. I always say this reference, but I'm going to say it again. You guys don't remember, but there's a little historical fact about football. The Chicago Bears are the only team I believe that don't have cheerleaders. They used to have cheerleaders back in the 80s called the Honey Bears. I don't know what we're going to call the Caucasian invasion cheerleaders. Farney called them Five Guys last night, but Johnny Haney and Vaughn Georgianis and Caden Muir, they are Farney's version of the Honey Bears. Those kids were cheering to the top of their lungs trying to get. So I mean, he put a whole program together. So give Farney his just due.
On 100%. I mean,
Here's
Kate
what
Beer,
right now, Caden Beer.
he's in the chat saying, "Be ready for Caucasian invasions." I don't think he knows that it will not be a team next year since they did not win.
He's
I
young.
don't.
Give the credit. He's young. He's a young buck.
He's a young buck, first year around. Also got Johnny Curbis putting in that Lucas was robbed here. We'll get to more of that later. But I mean, Keegan Farnas put together an incredible draft all around, guys. I mean, he had the vibe guys on the bench as you just mentioned, but everything else just glued around, and they battled around all the hate, all the adversity, and it got him to the championship game. Mike, I mean, you can't say much more about how he overcame all the media attention. I mean, he did it, and he was telling us. I mean, he spent the time. He looked into the draft. I know he's preparing. His mom was telling me. I mean, coached up a great team, and he drafted a great team. Mike, guys we didn't know, and guys who we thought was going to be bad.
He made it to the promised land, and he lost to a tough team.
He did.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, when you're told you had the worst draft in the history of a league and you wind up in the championship, obviously he knows something we didn't.
Obviously, and all credit to him. But that'll take us to the coach of the year, actually, here, which this is also another hard award. That might be the reason why we split it into a GM of the year and the coach of the year. But I actually like the idea. I got a couple feedback. Why are we doing a GM of the year and coach of the year? Well, one here, Mike, you can have an incredible draft and it just not work out. Or you know how to command a team, you know how to command the draft board, you see how good of a team you can draft, but sometimes the coaching isn't there fully, and there's just a better coach out there who also made an incredible draft or had some players who could do the job, but and coach them real well into the championship. And that's why, Mike, I mean, I think there's only one guy who could have won this award here. That's the man, Lucas Similek. Lucas took a team of nobodies, literal nobodies for the most part, Mike, and won a championship. Sometimes it's that.
I mean, right there, I think we've had a lot of quotable moments in this HFL season, but I'm just here so I won't get fined. Lucas all during the press conference, and you know what? He got a little emotional at the end of the winning the championship, but he told everybody, he screamed it, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." But I'll tell you this, Cam, is that anybody, and I really mean this, not being over the top, who is truly an all-world talent, all-world quarterback that is smart enough to make a coaching decision that Rocco Golasso can get the job done and I'm faster and can be a better wide receiver, that's coaching right there, man.
That is.
I like to claim I'm a coach. That's a coach's mind right there, is that right now he's putting his talent to the side because honestly, nothing against you, Golasso. We've given you your props. Simlick's probably a better quarterback than you at this point of his career, but Simlick was wise enough to say, Rocco's can get the job done, and I can be a dangerous weapon at wide receiver.
100%. I mean, the amount of humbleness that it took for Lucas Similek. I mean, a guy who was the quarterback for a state championship team, although they didn't win, they were still there in a very tough division. He said, "Here, I'll give it to the guy who I drafted in the 10th round. I believe he could get the job done, and like you said, I'll be a wide receiver. I'll be an asset. I'll be a target to him, and I'll actually let the guy who's probably lesser than me take the reins of the quarterback position." So he can get me the rock and feed the rest of the team out there. And if that's not coach of the year, I don't know what is, making decisions like that.
And I'm telling you, players, he did coaching without Weiss, who was one of his key players.
Yeah.
Joe Longo wound up being a stud that no one knew about. Chudzinski had a couple big catches. Newman did a great job at center. Curvis, even though the ball did hit him in the face, he did have a couple good plays in the field, played a good safety. Let me tell you something. A kid that I want to give a little props to, Connor Rastel out of Andrew.
Yeah.
Again, I'll say it again. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I thought Rastel was a bum. Rastel was wrong. He was a phenomenal player in the championship game. I believe 2 interceptions and a touchdown.
You couldn't beat it.
Huge.
100%. I mean, you could say that's what separated them and the Caucasian invasions was Vrastel there. I mean, key plays. I mean, like you said, 2 interceptions and a touchdown. That's the game right there, Mike.
And let me tell you something again, Cam. I love playing. I will always love playing. But one of my best moments in this HFL was when I was reffing that championship game in a 3-2 nail biter. And Vrastel, I kid you not, looks at me as I'm coaching the back line and says, "Watch this. Next play, he intercepts Justin Less. Call the shot, man. There's nothing like calling your shot."
100%. It's that confidence factor, and I think you got to give credit to Lucas Simlick for instilling that in his team, instilling that kind of humbleness, that poise of that. I'm just going to be here, and we're going to do our stuff, and we're going to take this down. That kind of goes back to the quote, "I'm just here so I won't get fined." He's there for one job and one job only. That was to win a championship, and I think he did that.
And we'll go on to the next award, but I'm going to close on Lucas on this. Sent the Y end zone, man.
Yeah. If that doesn't win Coach of the Year, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Done.
He sent him home. Let's move right over to the Offensive Player of the Year. A lot of great candidates for this year, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give the award to the man Scotty Oftedal here, the man who is just always open.
What a photogenic kid.
I mean, since day one, look at him, Scotty Ofty. The guy is one of the most dominant offensive weapons a team can have, and that's true to any point. You put Scotty Oftedal on any team, that guy will have the most touchdowns. He'll be open the most. Scotty was mentioning it all along. I think he was saying that he might have had 200 to 300 yards total in all the games he played. I mean, the guy's just unbelievable.
Let me put a clarification point, because a lot of you youngins said, Coach Sisti, I saw you fall on your face in a game versus Bonds versus Fat. Let me tell you something. When you're smart and you're old, you secure the interception. And I saw an interception coming to me just straight in my hands. And you know what stopped that, Cam? Scotty Oftedal's hands catching the ball as I fall down, juking me, and walking into the end zone. Scotty Oftedal was a stud all day. Defensively, offensively, the kid was the whole offense. Cormac, again, I love you to death. You delivered the rock to him. Scotty made you look good, bud. I'm not gonna lie to you. Scotty probably did 100 yards a game. He was amazing.
100%. I mean, I'll say it again. We mentioned we were talking about Cormac a little bit. The guy was getting – everybody knew the ball was going to Scotty Oftedal, and the guy still had 100 yards a game and a touchdown or two each game. It was no doubt Scotty was getting a touchdown per game. The guy is just the greatest offensive weapon this game might has ever seen, really, honestly, Mike. If I'm going to be honest with you, the guy can sling the rock. He didn't sling the rock this time around because they had a viable quarterback with Cormac Saunders, a guy who could get the job done and just keep feeding Scotty Oftedal. I'll say it here. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Scotty Oftedal did not have to go under center like he did last year with Evan Less, now Hall of Famer, when Scotty had to take over the reins. I mean, I think Scotty deserved this award last year, and I think we would have been remiss if he didn't get it this year, now doing the job as a wide receiver.
And I would be remiss before we go to Defensive Player of the Year, Cam, to know that Scotty Oftedal and Keegan Farnes are the first two-time award winners in our program right now that we've ever had. Scotty Oftedal won Defensive Player of the Year in 2023, and Farney was MVP last year to GM of the Year this year. So let me tell you something. Big props to those 25s right there, and just piss in excellence, man. I have no other way to say it. They just piss excellence.
Yep, there's no better way to say it. I mean, like you said, this guy's now done it defensively and offensively. I think last year made a case to be offensive guy as well. I mean, just the guy's got talent, and it's unbelievable. Now to one of the more talked about awards since Sunday has been talked about all day.
Don't ask me why. There was one contender to this winner who did this.
100%. I don't think
there's only one guy that should have won this award. So whoever argues this is on crack.
And I agree. And that man is right here, the guy who's talked about prior draft, Henry Humes. I mean, he helped take Caucasian evade. Matter of fact, let's give it a moment of silence. Captain Lieutenant Henry Humes. Let's give it a moment of silence.
The Admiral, the Colonel, whatever you want to be, Hank. Let me tell you something. When you're president, let me be your vice president or secretary of state, because you know what, brother? I had to deal with you firsthand. Cam had to deal with you firsthand. You were a handful.
There's
no way that any kid that weighs 102 pounds soaking wet should be as athletic, flexible, or nimble as you. That is not fair. All right. You were amazing. You were amazing. You were amazing. That's all I got to say about Hank Humes. And my comment is the only kid that was up for Defensive Player of the Year besides Humes was Coyle. Coyle was the only one that rivaled Humes for Defensive Player of the Year.
100%. I'll say this. I mean, he helped take Caucasian Invasions to the championship game while excelling with the most dominant pass rush we have ever seen. Mike, I'll say it here. Like you said, the guy's 140 pounds soaking wet. The guy was all over me. And I told him right after we played him, and this was game 2, we played Caucasian Invasion, I believe, Mike, hardest time I've ever, and I take pride. I think I'm one of the best offensive linemen the game has ever seen, Mike. And this guy was all over me. I mean, all over me. I'm bouncing around. I'm having to tell Corey, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time. You got to get this ball out quick because even if I did stop it, Mike, the guy didn't give up. I wasn't able to pancake him. I wasn't able to set him off. But even if I did get him to one side, the guy came right back around, and now I'm chasing him. Got Corey Les running all over. I mean, he was making every quarterback run, and not to mention, Mike, you still because after if you do stop him as a lineman, or if there's no lineman there, the guy is 7 foot tall and with an 8 foot wingspan. Mike, you gotta get that ball over him. The guy was always there.
And
He honestly, he might be the best defensive player we've ever seen, in my opinion, Mike.
I mean, the man is a giant. You know, the 7 C's better watch out because Admiral Henry Humes is coming to take you over in the next 4 years
Yeah,
plus.
I totally agree, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Coyle. I'll tell you this, Coyle, and myself included. I since I went against, I never really played against you because I was going against Henry Humes the whole time. I didn't really get to see much of your stuff because I had this beast in front of me. But I got a lot of good talk from you, and a lot of guys fighting for you. A lot of the captains, a lot of the players, your teammates, a lot of guys fighting for you. But in the end, I mean, there was still a lot of talk about Henry Humes and just the pure dominance. But we do not forget what you did. The amount of breakups, the amount of pass breakups that you had, and
Yeah,
the defensive back end, it was unbelievable.
it was great. So, Scotty Humes, we're going to give you a little more face time to stay on there because Cam, we need to talk about probably the most argumentative award that's coming up. The last award of HFL season 3 is the LVP, the least valuable.
Yeah, and I just mentioned it. We might see we've had a lot of good viewers in here the whole time, but I just sent out another message into the group me, Mike, the LVP announcement. Because let me tell you this. First off, this is in the other group me. We had to get the HFL group me was taken down after the championship day, um, due to Jake Ross getting sunned by Dom Santarelli with the good boy. Tom Les was not having it, and a
I
group me.
was not having it. Tom West was not having. We were not having it. We had to shut it down. We had to shut it down.
The group me was shut down, but the LVP here, Mike, let me tell you, the amount of finalists that there were for this award, and I'll tell you this, from my team alone, I'll say it here, I won't mention any players yet. We had 3 guys up for finalists for LVP, Mike.
We sucked.
We absolutely sucked, Mike. We had and we gave credit to Corey Les for drafting the best he could once we got to the 9th round. And I'll tell you what, it was the worst draft possible. I think we didn't get one good player from that round. Maybe Rosas. I mean, he was half decent, I guess. But I'll say it here first. Brendan Carlson might be the worst player out there. I mean, Mike, as an honorable coach, since I was not playing defense, Mike. So I was the guy on the bench, Mike, because you and Corey were out there. I was coaching the bench. I was making additions. I was making subtractions. Brendan Carlson, let me tell you, I didn't let that guy go out on the field if I was the one making the calls. Terrible. I mean, just terrible from him all around. I mean, possibly the worst player I've ever seen out there. And I'll tell you this now. Then we go on to JJ Edgy Quinlan. That guy got tick. And it took me too many games to figure out that he cannot be out there on defense. The amount of complaining he did, leaving guys wide open, blown coverages, and then had the balls to say it wasn't on him. The amount of touchdowns he let up is unbelievable. And I'll say this real quick.
Barnes should get a free shot on Edgy's face next practice. He should get a free right hook for even mentioning his sister in the same breath after the performance.
Yeah. Just the worst performance I've ever seen in my life. Before we move on to some other people, we got Cormac Saunders in the chat chiming in. Humes has no business winning anything.
Jealousy.
Worst defender got put up.
Jealousy, Cormac. Look up that song, Hey Jealousy by Jim Blossoms, because you need to be listening to that. Henry Humes was a dog.
100%. But, Mike, I'll finish up the Mahomey rounds. Corey Les got probably the most chatter for LVP of all time. Mike,
you got a lot of chatter yesterday, too, in practice. I don't think going to the Brother Rice basketball game did him any justice because there was a lot of, especially the Young Bucks, man. I know they're trying to CYA. That means cover your ass for those people that don't know. But a lot of the Young Bucks were saying Corey Les was no bueno.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll attest to that. I do think coming off a championship year, it was not the same Corey Les that we saw, Mike.
He's hurt. He's hurt.
That's what I'm getting to. I mean, guys, the reason why he had what do you even call that?
A
Something
screwed
on
up
his
finger.
yeah. He's got a screwed up finger and he had something on it. He had a brace on his finger. He's playing with the brace. Mike, we were going to try to take him out as quarterback at some point just because it was getting to be a sorry quarterback position for him. But first round of playoffs, he totally made up for it. Finally played an incredible game, but before that, I mean, he threw a lot of interceptions. Threw a
He
lot
might
of
have
interceptions.
an HFL record for interceptions thrown on a Sunday for the HFL.
It's possibly yeah. We got Corey Les chiming in. Young Bucks don't know ball.
I have a feeling that some of those young bucks, if they have the guts to mention their name, are going to be getting a talking to from El Capitan on Tuesday practice or Saturday or Sunday.
I'll tell you this. It definitely I'll round up on Corey because he is a top 3 finalist for this award, and the award's not announced yet, but he's in the top 3, and he might be in the top 2 here, Mike. If we want to talk about least valuable, we might. He's in the conversation for why a team didn't win, according to a lot of captains and chat around. But let's move on to some other just poor, sorry players who played this year, Mike. I mean, there's plenty to go around, Mike. And do you have any chatter of who you think could be at least valuable?
I mean, right now for least valuable, I'll tell you the one kid that if you walk the walk, you got to talk the talk.
Yeah.
He's young. He showed up with flair. He had a lot of pomp and circumstance. But Knox Britsky,
Yeah.
show up in that suit and do not show up on Sunday. If you're going to show up in a suit like that on draft day, you better show up on Sunday. And all I saw was 3 targets, 0 catches,
Zero.
and then I saw some horrendous safety coverage.
Yeah, it was poor. It almost reminds me of JJ Edgy. I mean, just blown coverage after blown coverage. Guys getting straight walking into the end zone. It was piss poor. And I'll mention this. Another guy who's just sorry. I'll say this. Tyler Bartley. Mike, I don't know if you even heard.
Was he there?
Tyler Bartley was there, and he was playing for Bonsfat, and Bonsfat had a little bit of a break. So Tyler went home, allegedly to go grab something. Mike, I'll tell you this. The guy went on the couch and didn't wake up till 3 p.m., left his team in the dust. Tyler Bartley slept through the HFL, the second half of the HFL, the playoffs. Tyler Bartley
So since
left his team
I'm
in
going
the
to go there because you know what? You boys have to be grown ups and you need to be able to take some criticism. We had a surprise for you on Sunday that did not come through. And yeah, I'm telling him, and he better watch this. Colin Sangfield. Colin
Yeah.
Sangfield had a rough night Saturday night.
He did.
He couldn't even make it to Sunday, so not in the LVP conversation just because he wasn't present, but still someone you guys should be
Yeah.
well aware of that is very Tyler Bartley-esque.
St. Peel, it was going to be a surprise announcement. St. Peel was going to play for the Caucasian Invasions. And let me tell you, he was with us that night at MJ Schle's house. He did leave for a little bit, as well as Tyler. We recuperated with Tyler. And then in the wee hours at about 2 a.m., we're sitting there, me, Bond, Scotty, and I want to say that might me, Bond, Scotty, and Tyler were sitting at the Denny's at 2 a.m. and we're wondering, man, where is Colin Sankfield? Because he's got a game to play tomorrow. Because we know he's playing. Let me tell you this guy, we call him up. He's got 1% on his phone. I wake him up on the call. I call him up, Sankfield, Denny's, LaGrange. I hear his phone dies, hangs up the phone. 10 minutes later, we're sitting there eating unlimited pancakes. This man, Colin Snakepill, whips around the corner, gets out of his car, sprints into the Denny's, and had the stack of pancakes waiting there for him. And I believe they were raw. There was talks about him eating raw pancakes. We got back to the house about 2:30 a.m. The guy was out, Mike, and he did wake up, and there was talks if he would come back for the second round of games.
Not
He never
happening.
showed up. Never
Not
showed.
happening. So
Yeah,
Denny's
Denny's mixed him up. Case
absolutely
and
Kason. Grand Slam got the best of them. It gets the best of all of us, Kason. Not all of us are Bourbonnais bred. You know, we can't take the carbs in the morning. Fish checks required. Like, very very good. We are not a sanctioned league right now, just so everybody knows. So all substances are legal. So next year we'll be thinking about random tests for players of the league. But again, I don't want to favor this anymore. Just looking at my list right here, Cam. You got a Hanyon, you got a Georgianis, you got a Muir, you got a Granados, you got some guys that Carlson we talked about.
Yeah.
Blackwell had a rough go of it, but again, like ultimately at the end of the day, when you look at LVP, you got to look at people that had high expectations. And for some of the guys I just mentioned, I don't think that they had high expectations because they're new in the program. But I think one guy, I mean, like Corey has monster expectations because he's an athlete. I mean, a couple of these guys, not all of them, have monster expectations because there's an athlete. So I mean,
I'll say this real quick before you get to your point. I'll say this: this guy didn't have any monster expectations, but he still played sorry. Jake Ross. Jake Ross, I mean, unbelievably terrible. I mean, classic. He did the Tom Brady only ball I think that he got. I mean, off the fingertips. Jake
so
Ross.
let me cut you off. Scotty off the doll confirmed this story that Ross literally said "my bad" before he dropped that wide open pass. He knew that the gods would not let him catch that ball. That really before the ball even arrived, he said, "My bad, I dropped it."
It sounds about right. I mean, that's Jake Ross for you. We're getting some better.
What they want, kid. Who's the LVP? Let's get the suspense out there.
Well, I'm glad Patrick Bateman brought it up because it might lead to this
Who's
award.
Patrick Bateman?
I don't know who Patrick Bateman is.
I believe that was the character from American Psycho.
I don't know who it is, but I guess they know that Corey's injury is on his left hand. But Mike, without further ado, let's get to the LVP. Mike, the most anticipated award probably of all time. Here it is.
Who is it?
Von Georgianis, the least valuable player. He's so sorry. I'll mention this. We don't have a picture of him. He's gone black and then gone ghost on the market. So he put Dom Santarelli, who won Yoga Player of the Year, I guess. That's Dom Santarelli of the YNs doing yoga. He'll take it too. He was pretty sorry too, Mike. I mean, this is kind of a double award for Dom Santarelli and Von Georgianis. Not really. It really goes to Von Georgianis, but Dom played sorry, so he's getting the cover picture there. But let me tell you this, Mike. For playing on a championship team.
Is that the angry cat pose, Cam?
I'll tell you what it is. I wish we had Dominic Jesus in the chat here to kind of mention what that is and how he gets Yoga Player of the Year. Let's zoom it in and see. Does anybody know what that is? I really don't know, but it won him yoga athlete of the year somehow. So
I don't know. I didn't know they had yoga. I didn't know they had yoga up in Wisconsin. They thought that was frozen yogurt.
I think that's what he thought it was too, and he signed up for the wrong thing. But let me tell you this about Von Georgianis. Does the name even ring a bell to most players? Because let me tell you this, Mike. I didn't know him before, and I barely know him after. I only know him because he played on a championship team. And yes, he only played 2 snaps in total. Only 2 snaps.
The most important point, Cam, is that this kid, who is a kid and he's young, he's well-intentioned, but he literally had the audacity at practice to say, and I quote, what's the big deal about the HFL? That is not a good way to get yourself in good graces with your GM, with your coach, and with your teammates.
Yeah.
And that's only 2 snaps.
Yeah, 2 snaps in total for a championship team. Mike, might be the most sorry thing. And actually, I wish we had Keegan in the chat here to bring it up here because a lot of guys in the chat are talking about it here.
Show me some of the comments. What do we got?
10 snaps required per game here.
From Corey's calling forfeit. Next comment.
we got Cormac Cheddar in. 50% of Keegan's team didn't play a snap.
Oh man, here we go.
And that was big talk, Mike. A lot of guys were noticing that Caucasian Invasion, half their team was not playing for most of the time. But when you really talk about it, I mean, I think a lot of teams are doing this in the end.
I have to say, you guys know I'm a wrestling fan, and I'm going to quote the great Ric Flair once again: "If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying."
That's right.
Keaton Fartis was trying all tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you this. We're getting a lot of who's in the chat. Caden Muir's popping in. I mean, we could say who to you too.
So you know, Von Georgianis and Caden Muir are arch enemies. So I would like to hear what Caden Muir would have to say about Von Georgianis.
He's saying I spelled his name wrong. If I spelled his name wrong, I mean it's in due credit. I mean the guy was non-existent. I still don't know him. I couldn't even picture a face for him. That's probably why I couldn't find a thing. But I heard he played 2 snaps total. Look back at the footage, Mike. I couldn't tell who the player was. I mean, 2 snaps total, and let's see, how many games did they play? 5 games total, Mike? For the
Yeah,
Caucasian
5 games
Invasions,
total.
4 to 5 games. I think because they got to buy maybe 4,
Yeah,
something like that. And you played 2 snaps total.
not a good percentage. Not a
No,
good percentage. But let me tell you something. You know what I heard about the Georgianis kid? I did hear one thing about him. You ready? I
let's
heard
hear
he
it.
had a bruised hand from so many high fives that he kept giving out to his team. He had the bruised hand for all the high fives that he was doling out. I mean, he was doling them out.
He was a cheerleader. Whoa, almost going down here. I know we talked about it. Keegan Farnas's team had a lot of cheerleaders, but if there was one cheerleader, it had to be Von Georgianis. He don't only play 2 snaps, and it didn't look like, from what at least what I could tell and what I've heard, that he was trying to get some tick in the game. Mike, I think he was content with sitting on the bench, and I think getting least valuable players should it might void you from the league next year, Mike. I don't know.
I have to say the one thing that Carlson had over him is every time I was on the sideline, I don't know if you did this when you were on the sideline, is I would put my finger up and then Carlson would be like, "You want me to go in, coach?" And I'd be like, "No, Carlson, we don't want you to go in, but thanks for playing."
I'm glad you bring it up, Carlson. He started as a starter on defense, and I think he got some tick on offense. I hated him as a player, just so terribly sorry. And I started with a growing passion to hate Edgy as well. Just 2 sorry players on just a team. But I'm actually getting some texts in from a couple people. Man, this is
Oh wait, it looks like I got some text as well. Let's see. What's
I got from New York. Corey Less snubbed of this award. I'm getting a lot of texts of Corey Less being snubbed from the least valuable player award. I wonder if did this person from New York, Corey Less, want to stay as unnamed? I don't know what it's going to be. We got a question for from Corey Less here. Commissioner Sisti, are we going to enforce the 10 play rule next year? How we? There was a lot of talk that we should this rule should be involved, but we couldn't enforce it.
We will bring it to the committee.
It'll stay with the committee. I don't know if we need a couple more referees or someone to actually look. Here, Cormac is chattering saying we just need more teams. That could be a possibility.
We do that. We have enough people that I think that if we can limit the teams to 10, maybe 8 to 10 players, I think we can do that. I love the suggestion box is open here. So just so you guys know, here's the suggestion box right here. You can put it right in there, and we'll make sure that we'll get to all the suggestions as soon as possible.
I agree. We got some Corey Less actually voting for less players. I think I did hear that around the league, and I think it's due to sorry players like Von Georgianis, guys who rode the pine the whole time. I think we could go with less players or just more teams. We'll have to figure out.
And I just want you to know the text that I got was from my wife busting me saying, "How are you even working right now? You're on YouTube." So
we're doing our due diligence here. Oh, I got another text. Oh, from the guy who texted in from New York, Corey Less snubbed, wants to remain anonymous. That's a bold claim to remain anonymous. I got Knox.
Young kid, that is the feeling of Justin Less all over it. I'm just being honest.
I got another text from Knox saying he dodged a bullet there. You most certainly did dodge a bullet. You came in thinking you're going to be all that. You said you're going to play with a chip on your shoulder, and you had 0 catches, 0 yards, and played a sorry defense. If you weren't younger, it might have been you, but I mean, I don't think anyone, no matter how sorry you played, at least Corey did play. He got a playoff win. Von Georgianis played 2 snaps total. Here we go. We got Keegan Farnas chiming in. He wants to call in. Mike, what do we say?
Yeah, if Keegan wants to call him, let him call in. Give Cam a call. Let's go on the hotline.
We're gonna go on to the hotline here. He's calling in here. I'll try to. Here comes Keegan Farnas. Keegan, you're on the line.
So I just got to the point in the stream where you're talking about required players, 10 plays.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. I mean, you guys thought my team was ass.
I think it does matter because it was solidified as a rule that is the 10 play minimum, and I think completely disregarded that. Why'd you disregard it?
Let's be honest.
Would I have put Von Georgianis on the field? Probably not.
I
but I
think
wouldn't have drafted him.
I think Keegan. I think that everybody's going by the philosophy they hate us because they ain't us, and you are us in that analogy.
And I truly think Corey West was snubbed of the LVP.
Oh, this is a different complaint. This is not from the anonymous source. This is Keegan Farmas now saying Corey Lesh got snubbed as the least valuable player. Thank you, Keegan, for your time. Let me make a mention on that real quick. Corey Less, he got us a championship victory, Mike. I don't know how that last year got us a championship victory. This year he got us a playoff win. I don't know if that
He
could be.
got us a playoff win this year. He went to overtime and he came in clutch. He threw some good balls. What he called like he didn't get much help from his receivers. Easy to win, not playing. Yeah, hey,
Fair point against Keegan Farnes there.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes didn't have a good Super Bowl. Corey Less didn't have a good HFL. It doesn't mean they're not going to be back. It doesn't mean they're not going to, ultimately what happened at the end of the day is that Simlick and Farney drafted great teams. I want to give a shout out to MJ Schley. I thought he drafted a great team.
He drafted a good team as well.
You know what?
I'm still getting a lot of talk here, Mike. A lot of people chiming in. How is Corey Less not LVP? Guys, I'll say it here again. First off, we went to the captains, and only one captain notably said it should be Corey Less. So take it up with the captains. The commissioner committee also agreed to it here. Let me tell you this, guys. He went. He had a playoff victory. He's a former champ. The guy's not the least valuable player. The least valuable player is totally a guy who played only 2 snaps to a team. I understand that Corey Less, in theory, had a depressing year. I mean, he was injured. He's playing under the gun. Didn't have the same personnel as he had last year. We with Mahomes, I'll mention this. We actually stuck to the 10-play minimum rule, so we had some bums in there who had to play. We had a sorry defense, Mike, who had our offense on the bench only for a couple minutes before having to get back in. Mike, Corey Less didn't play good. I'll say that. He had probably career record for most interceptions, but the guy's certainly not the least valuable. Let us to a playoff victory. I understand the complaints here, but definitely not the least valuable.
I knew a Hall of Famer once named Brett Favre who threw a ton of interceptions. You have off days. The kid had an off day. Give him a break. Okay,
100%. I agree with you fully on that. Case in mind.
And again, Case and Bynum wants to make it clear that he was working out things contract-wise. It was a business decision. That's why he only had 1 target and 1 reception all tournament. I told you that earlier. I offered Nike. He wanted Reebok. I couldn't get my Reebok. Rep on the phone in between games. So that's I'll take the Bynum on me. Bynum not being more of a component for the Mahomes is on me. I couldn't get the deal signed in time.
That's fine. We got Corey Less chiming in now. Let's not forget his defensive play pick, multiple deflections. I mean,
you're not defensive player of the year. You don't have defenses anymore. You're not the least valuable player anymore. It's all right, bud. You got saved. You're not the least valuable player. We don't need it.
Corey, I will say this. Corey was trying to make a pitch to all the captains earlier today and yesterday, saying that he shouldn't be least valuable player. Keegan Farnes was making it known that he believes he should. Corey was working around it. He was worried. He's texting me all day. He thought Mike was going to be putting in a vote for Corey Less, and he might have. All votes remained anonymous besides Keegan Farnes, who made it notable.
I did not vote for Corey Less, least valuable player. I will put it on record that Knox Brixey, you were the least valuable player in the commissioner's eyes.
And I'm glad you brought it up because Knox texted me as well. I would like to make my claim that I did have at least 5 catches and only 1 drop. I don't know, but not notable catches.
Let me tell you something, Knox. No one likes a liar. And that's the whole face lie that you just put on the internet.
Because we will be going through the tape, and I will see, because I don't believe I remember seeing any catches, and I'm glad you did say you're not a defensive player yourself. You certainly aren't. One of the more defensive, you're actually one of the most sorry defensive players there. That's why you're a finalist for least valuable player. But yeah, I understand the arguments for Corey Less. There were a lot of votes for him in the end, and a lot of chatter around Corey Less. But if you really look at it at the end of the day, the guy got a playoff victory. How can that be the least valuable player? I know he had an off day, but definitely didn't deserve least valuable player of the year. I think a guy who only played 2 snaps deserves it over him, and I think there's plenty more guys who could have gotten it. I think a lot of them stemming from the Mahomes. They had a lot of sorry players this year. Brendan Carlson. JJ Edgy, I mean, the guy's played two of the most sorry defensive years of all time. I mean, especially Edgy. I really want to harp on him real quick before we end this. Just sorry. I mean, and then he had the balls to tell me and tell the whole team that it wasn't his man when clearly he was lined up on him, and then he zoned out, and then the guy had a walking in free touchdown. I mean, I don't understand it there.
If I could close that thought for you, Cam, and if I can role play like I've done throughout this whole season, I'll play the role of Edgy. You right, Cam. You right.
Yeah. That's what we needed from him. But he was nothing. He was mad when I was taking him out of the game. I don't know. That's gonna. You mean already we're a bottom draft pick this year? I think you after the showing you put on this year, you could be in Mister Irrelevant talks
So,
next year.
We're at an hour. I want to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you did for this. You know, the live streaming, the podcast, the everything. You did a phenomenal job. You coming out to be part of it every year. You've done a fantastic job with this, and I think you deserve all the kudos in the world for setting this up and making this special. And if you don't mind, I like to make an announcement if I can have the floor for a second.
Please.
So in the olden days, as you guys know, as I always say, wrestling fan, you know, they did this when it was an important moment. And what I'm going to do right now is these are my boots, and I'm putting them on the mat. I would like that to be symbolic that my playing days in the HFL are over. I retire officially as of today, February 12th, 2025. You know, I ended the way that I want to end, running over Dominic Diamond to get a sack to send us on to let Corey Les get a 2-point conversion to send us into the next round of the playoffs. Diamond, thank you for that memory as I just bulldozed over you and made you look sorry. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to know when it's time to hang it up. And Cam, I wish I had a cowboy hat so I can walk off into the sunset like the cowboy that I am.
Wow.
The lovely soul. But I will be putting my name in to be a GM next year.
Okay.
Wow. Because ultimately what's going to happen with my ref/GM hat is my name will be on that trophy one day, whether as a player or a GM, and I will GM a team to glory. So all you people that are draft eligible right now, the phone number, you guys all have it. Give it a buzz. Give it a buzz, and we're going to take this to the promised land. And this is another thing, YN Stomp saying really for when you watch this. You got your gift from Cam, Willy, and Mike Sisti. You got it. You got your whole team to come in. Next year, if you want to buy into this little rodeo that we got going on down south, you guys are being drafted to different teams like everybody else.
Yeah.
Equal playing field. We proved that we can beat you when you're together. So maybe we can show you some camaraderie and come down, and then you can be drafted to different teams. So the invite is open, 360 days away. But if you want to do this again, you're getting drafted to separate teams, brother.
100%. And Mike, this is bombshell news that you just dropped on me. I had no recollection on this. I do appreciate the kind words. I thank you for also helping me out with this. I mean, it wouldn't be the same without you on this, doing the podcast, doing the live.
I'm not retiring from the podcast. This is new and this is new and improved. So all you boys be ready to tune into the Cam Willy.
100%. And I mean, look at this. I'll just mention this before because whoever this person is just sorry for mentioning this. First off, I don't know who this is. Who won the LVP? I mean, I'm not even going to answer.
It has to be Vaughn Georgianis' stage name.
It must be going undercover. Vaughn Georgianis won it. But, Mike, let me tell you this. I did not think you were retiring. I mean, you made some mention that you won't retire for years to come, but I think
the soreness after Sunday, everybody felt. So you guys can put it on record what you guys felt. I felt 20 times more than you did because I am fatter and older than all of you. So if you heard on Sunday night, I felt like this is what a coffin must feel like.
And Mike brought it up earlier. He was doing the booty scoot down the stairs. I think when you get to that point, it might be time to hang up the cleats or drop the shoes on the mat as Mike did. But what a run, Mike, you made it. But it is bombshell news that you said you will be taking over GM reins, general manager reins.
I will be taking
and
over
probably and hopefully head referee reins, Mike.
The The repping can be another podcast, Cam. I'm not going to touch that because now I'm in a GM role. I do not want to make any enemies of any people who will not be named. So Haga Cabrera,
Whoever this guy is.
Whoever this guy is, you know what? Let's.
The people are asking for a farewell tour. Almost John Cena.
I love you. I love you.
Will we now that we're on this? Will we get a John Cena farewell tour? Or is it over?
Oh no, I mean this is I don't know. It's tough.
It's retired, but could there be a Tom Brady moment?
Let me tell you something. Let me look at my contract situation in 360 days, and we'll tell you where we're at. But I promise.
As of now, you are retired.
As of now, I am retired from my playing days. But
and will be taking over your general manager reins for a specific team, or will you be in open season looking to find a land?
I will be. It will be open season right now. The only team, as long as he wants to keep it in line, is Dixon Yass. If he wants to keep his boys together, that's fine with me, because I see a lot of talent out there that I would be happy to come to. The Shiesty Boys.
Yeah,
will be the team name.
And I'll tell you this, Dixon Yass is a young team, but as a team who won the championship and kept the same team, we had the most dominant team last year, Mike, and I'm telling you, the Mahomes didn't have it this year, and I don't know if it was caught us on a bad day or if not being able to draft until the 9th or 10th round really kills you, Mike.
I think it can. I mean, Lucas, maybe you want to give some of your players up and just, make it a one-time thing and try and rebuild. But yeah. I'll tell the league this. I'll leave you guys on notice. Once I win one, I don't rebuild. I reload.
That's right. And I'll leave it on this as well. I mean, I will announce that I will be playing next year more than not. I will be back playing next year. I do not think I'm retired yet. I think I gave it my all this year. I think I proved that I'm a viable, probably the most versatile player out there in my opinion. Nobody can block like me, I believe, and a guy who can also catch 2 touchdown passes, dive around, run, and get first downs. I will be back next year.
You're a road grader, Cam Willy. You're a road grader. You're a road grader. Jason Kelsey would be proud.
I believe he would, and I will say this too. I don't want to put it on record, but I do believe if everything works out for most of the guys, I know it will be tough, but I do believe the core Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famers will be returning as well for one more year.
That's right.
If not more, but that involves
362 days to convince me and Cam who is the next member of the Hall of Fame after Evan Less.
Yeah. So are we only doing one a year, Mike, or is there class?
We're only doing one a year. That's why it's special. So and I'll leave you guys with this, and I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for this. This is special. You guys showed what dogs you are. You guys showed teamwork, and I'm very proud of you guys. I know this is meant to be fun for you guys, but you've created a tradition, and you guys will realize when you're old and gray like me that traditions are a good thing.
100%. And I'll leave here with this as well.
And I'm out.
Peace out, Mike. This has been the HFL season. Thank you guys so much. We'll have more to come. Follow the Instagram. We will be back. One more thing. Don't forget to follow and check out our sponsors. Cormac is Fat. Thank you guys. This has been the HFL. Mike is out of here. Been a great ride. We will see you in about 280 days until we start the coverage back for the HFL. I mean, we might have one more episode here and there covering some of the talent and some of the stats here, but check out the Instagram. There will be still posts there. Cam_Willy_media. This has been Cameron Williams as Michael Sisti from the HFL committee team. See you next year.